Hey guys, we're Adam and Steph, and we're converting this 2007 International School Bus into our dream tiny home on wheels. In this episode of our build, we're installing over 100 gallons of freshwater tanks. And to maximize our space on the inside of our bus, we decided to put half of this water storage underneath. Being from Northern Ontario, we found it important to put effort into making this bus a Four Seasons home. That means we gotta at least insulate these tanks. Watch us as we build and install this mega insulated freshwater tank to make winter living a little bit more comfortable. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. In this week's episode, we're working on our freshwater tanks. As you can see here, I've got two 21-gallon tanks, and these are going underneath our bus. So we're going to insulate them, and then we're going to put one tank inside of our bus underneath our bed. And that one, obviously, we don't need to insulate because it's inside the bus. We're going to have a total of 3 tanks, and we got to connect them all together. So let's get started on that. So there's basically 4 holes in the tanks. One's a drain line, one's a fill line, one's an air vent line, and the last one would be the pull line, so where the water is going to go to your sink and shower. So we have 4 connections on all 3 of our tanks, so they all need to work together, connect together in some way to work with our plumbing system. So we decided to go with 2 tanks for a couple of different reasons. We needed a tank to fit in between the outside of the bus and the frame of the bus, and also behind the back wheel and the end of the bus. That's the cavity and where we're putting our water tanks. And these were the only water tanks that we could find in those specific dimensions. And we also decided to go with 2 tanks because it basically acts as like a baffle.
So any large truck that carries water or a fuel truck has a bunch of baffles, which are basically barriers that stop the fuel or water or whatever it might be from going all the way from the end to end. And so this acts as a single baffle between this length. If this is one big tank, it would smash into the front and it could damage the tank, damage the bus, or knock the tank completely off.
Yeah, so that's why we went with 2 tanks here, but we need to connect them together with the fittings that we have here. Once we have everything together, we can insulate this mega tank that we're making. Okay, so we've got our 2 tanks pretty much figured out. We connected these 2 furthest most fittings together. So this will be the burper, I guess we'll call it.
Ventilation line.
Yeah, the ventilation line. So these will connect to the top of the top tank to displace the air once we fill these tanks. So that's what this is for. And then these 2 lines we've connected together here and teed them off. So these will be the fill lines. So the outlet of the top tank will go connect into this, and then we'll fill the 2 bottom tanks. And then obviously we plugged up this drain, but then this drain on this side we used 3/4 PEX with a shutoff valve here, and then these 2 blue connections, they're just connected, one with a 90 degree and the other one with a T, if you can see there. So this T will then go towards the center of the bus and run up to the front of the bus where we're gonna house all of our pumps and stuff. So yeah, this is basically the main outlet. So all the water from the whole system will go to the very bottom and then be pulled from this line right here. We've got this all figured out. We just have to do all the clamps, clamp it all, make it nice and watertight, and then we can start insulating these tanks. Okay, let's start framing for insulation. So the reason why we're insulating is because we want to be a 4 seasons bus, and we also wanted to maximize the amount of space in the inside of the bus, so that's why we opted to put 2 of our tanks on the outside. And in order to be a 4 seasons bus, we need to heat these tanks and keep them insulated. So we are basically boxing out our insulation with 3/8 plastic instead of like plywood or whatever, because we really don't want it to rot. It's going to be on the outside of the bus, behind the wheels, so a lot of salts and water is obviously going to hit these tanks, and we really don't want it to rot. So we are using wood for the framing, but the outside of it is going to be with plastic.
So we bought these heater pads. We'll link them down below. They're from Amazon. What's really cool about these heater pads is it has a sensor, thermostatic sensor built in, and they'll only turn themselves on when it's below 0. They're sticky on one side, and it just feels like a rubber mat. Heat rises, so put them on the bottom. Pretty simple. That's what I like about them. Simple. Stick them on, wire them up. The instructions do say to put a switch on it for like summertime and stuff, just in case they turn on, and it is good to have a switch on almost anything. So that's all I gotta say about the heater pads.
On either side, we've got blocks of wood to keep them nice and separated. And then on the ends here, we've also put structure across so that even though, yeah, there's going to be 2 tanks, we don't want them sort of bumping against each other, because all this piping is very valuable and we don't want to have to break into this box to redo any of these connections. One more thing here, on either side, we obviously had to make this stick out a little bit, which is kind of unfortunate, but we're going to box it in like this and then just probably cover it with a little bit of spray foam. And one more thing as well, these are the wires for the heating pads that we put on the bottom of each tank. We just need to extend them so that they can fit through this hole with these pipes, and then we can connect it to the power source inside of the bus. What you got there?
This is the water level probe. It goes inside of the tank, and through the magic of electricity, it can tell how much water's in there and send that through wires up to a gauge. There we go.
Yeah.
So, magical.
Magic! Okay, let's install it. After assembling our mega insulated tank, we decided just to paint the bottom half black with leftover spray paint from previous projects, just so that if you see it underneath our bus, it doesn't stand out as much as it would if it were white. We also drilled holes underneath our bus for mounting and just generally cleaned it up using super acid etch on our new drill holes and black asphalt on the rest of it.
Asphalt or ashfault?
Asphalt.
Asphalt.
Now we're going to start installing our threaded rods. It's a pretty standard YouTube tutorial on how to mount water tanks underneath your bus, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We've cut these guys to length here. We've got our 3/8 nuts to go along with it. We've got our Loctite, most importantly. And then we've also got these nice big washers that Adam actually cut the top and bottom so that it can fit in our I-beams. Similar to how we mounted our underbody boxes, there's like I-beams, like the bottom of the bus is built like this. And then there's also just normal like structural ribs. So we're using 3 of the I-beams, which is super easy because we've just drilled holes into those. We have to use one of the just normal structural beams that go across. And for that one, we have this angle iron, which we're going to put 4 bolts like on the side of the beam. And then we've got those same holes, which we're gonna put the threaded rods into. So let's get to installing these, and hopefully you'll understand how exactly we're doing this. I like how your glasses matches your socket wrench.
This is so I don't electrocute myself when I do electrical.
Are your picture taken?
Whoa!
Like core strength! Oh my god, I'm shaking. Alright, now that we've got all of our rods up, we're gonna bring the tank over and we're gonna use this leftover rectangle aluminum stuff that we have. We've already pre-drilled some holes on each end and painted them, and these are going to be, you know, our bottom braces. So we're going to put our tank in here and we're going to thread these through, and so that's what's going to hold up the tank. And then we're going to just put some nice beefy washers and some grade 8 nuts and tighten it all the way up to the top, and then we can probably cut off the extra threaded rods if we need to. Alright, let's install it. You look like a spider monkey.
I'll come at you like a spider monkey.
Leap shit on your ass. It's like perfect. Once we cut these rods off, you're not gonna see it at all. And that was Adam's main concern, was he didn't want a water tank that stuck out below like the bumper.
It's not just for looks, so that when you don't rip the tank out accidentally when you low side the bus.
Yeah.
So these 2 pipes coming off of the tank, this one is our main pull line. This goes to our water system.
It's gonna angle off and run to the front of the bus through the center and go into our water underbody box.
And this is a drain. in case we want to empty the contents of both tanks.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so we have our third tank in place. This is a 63.5 gallon water tank, I believe. We'll link all the tanks we used in the description down below. We just put this one underneath our bed. We've added some lumber around and framed it in so that it doesn't move on us. All the pipes from the bottom tank come up right beside this tank here, and we've obviously connected everything where they need to go. So just to give you a quick rundown on how these three tanks work together. Basically, the water comes in and goes into our top tank first, and then it has a bottom connection here that will drain into our bottom tanks. So basically our bottom tanks will fill up first, and once those tanks are full, then this tank will start filling as well. We've installed 2 water level sensors, one on the top tank and one on the bottom tanks, and we've installed our gauges near our bathroom so that when we're going to take a shower, we can see exactly how much water we have in both of our tanks. And another important thing I want to mention is this loop-de-loop here, which is our air vent. We've connected our bottom air vent line and teed it off with the top tank so that when the bottom tanks are filling up, the air can displace into the top tank. It's important to have this air vent loop up and have it at the highest point of your system because it prevents the water from spilling out accidentally through your airline. As you can see here, we've already got our filter. That's going to be in another video, so stay tuned to see how we've completed our whole entire water system. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Rate my setup. Yeah, waterproof.